So I really like Claude Code. It's been writing about 99% or more code for me, which is really great. But there's two things I wish were better about it. So if you open up Claude here, two wish list items for me is number one is agents. You can create an agent with Claude Code, but what it doesn't get at is more of that System 2 type agent where there are agents they call agents that maybe work in a cycle or employ some other System 2 technique. The way Claude implements agents is it's very flat. You just give it a prompt and you can't fine tune any of the parameters, and it's too flat for my liking, which if we want to get to a point where it can take on more complex tasks, it can't be as flat as what Claude does. The other thing that I wish was better is I want to be able to run my own local models. So for example, I've got Quinn 3 in the background here. I want to be able to run that locally for various reasons, including just running it offline if I'm on a plane or something. It'd be great to be able to continue to use Claude locally. So here's what's interesting is we are rapidly approaching a point where we can get complex software on demand. Within the past 3 or 4 days, I've been using Cursor AI to build my own Claude code. So my own version of Claude code, fulfilling the wish list items that I have, and I call it better agents. Naming is hard, but so ignore that. But I can go in here and say hello, and it's going to use, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, my local models. It says, hello, how are you today? And I can ask, when is your knowledge cut off? None of this is like super impressing that sure you can create your own terminal application to talk to a local model. However, there's a lot more features that are built in here. So for example, there is a models slash menu where I can go in here and choose a different model. Obviously right now I have a lot of Quinn 3 models, but I can say, I can switch to a different model. You can see on the left-hand side, it's switched to that model and it started using that model. And again, these are local models. And the point here is if I could use local models and switch local models, I could also add any other models I want, like Anthropic's models or OpenAI's models or a Gemini model. So that's point number one. Point number two is I also have an agents slash menu item here. And right now, the way this is presented very flat, but earlier this year, I did a conference talk where I talked about System 1, System 2, and large language models. And the big headliner demo that I gave was my own custom developed deep research application. And what I did was I took I think something like 13 agents, I can't remember. I put all those agents and made them accessible to this clone of Claude. And what you're seeing here is, yes, it's a flat list of agents, but this orchestrator agent itself invokes other agents. And so when you go down in here, it looks like I need to fix the scrolling here, but this agent delegates to 3 other agents. There's a clarifier, a researcher, and a summarizer agent. And those other 3 agents delegate work to sub-agents themselves. So that they take very complex problems that they're meant to solve at a high level and delegate it to smaller agents that solve small pieces of that problem really well. The other thing here is I'm able to, adjust the parameters here in more ways than just, sorry, I'm trying to type and to demonstrate at the same time. I'm able to adjust the parameters in ways that are just more than the system prompt. I'm able to adjust the temperature. So for example, if I wanted this to be a little bit more deterministic, I would turn the temperature way down to 0.1 and then adjust the temperature in that way. And now if I want to use this agent, so right now the deep research agent is sort of off to the side waiting to be invoked by the main chat agent. So now if I said, hey, I want you to research, I don't know, climate trends in the last 10 years, it knows that it needs to delegate to the top level research orchestrator agent, and that deep research orchestrator agent itself will delegate to its sub-agents to clarify and assess and more or less kick off the deep research application that I built. So that's really cool. And here it is, it actually paused mid generation here because it got to a point where it said we need to clarify what actually I mean by the research, and it came up with clarifying questions and I could respond to this, and once I respond to it, it'll go off for about 15 minutes and go do its thing. So that's pretty neat that we can get this kind of functionality. Just to return briefly to an earlier point I was making, we are getting closer to this idea of complex software on demand. In the past several days, I've been, nearly every evening, using Cursor AI to use agents in the background or agents in real time to help build this out. I've built a Haskell application where I've applied a lot of the engineering and architecture principles that I know from doing my job for more than a decade, and using that to build a somewhat complex application. But again, here, what I'm not doing is vibe coding. This vibe coding I take to mean you're just sort of writing code and not paying attention to how well it's built in and what patterns are being used. If you look at this graph, this line represents the number of lines that Cursor is generating. This graph, this bottom line represents how many lines I'm actually accepting and putting into the application. So like at the very onset, I'm rejecting 99 or 90% of the code. Then I was accepting maybe 2/3 of the code. Yesterday I was accepting maybe less than half of the code, and this morning again, it's not doing so well, but it is making fine adjustments to the code, and it's giving me a lot of suggestions and making a lot of attempts, but I'm only accepting a very small proportion of this. So this isn't quite vibe coding. This is me saying, this is how I want this application to be built. I'm delegating it to a smart LLM. And when it does it well, then that's great. Then I'm going to accept it and move on to the next requirement or the next feature. So we're really getting close to this point where whatever moat these complex software applications have, they are rapidly shrinking. That's not to say that anyone could build Claude code, a clone of it within a few days, because I haven't. I'm not even close to it, but I am getting a lot of the punchy value of it within a few short days. And just imagine what a whole software team can do when they are pair programming with large language models. So very fun thing to do, very, very interesting. And yeah, just I thought I would share that with you all. So thanks for watching.